Pitching has changed since your era because you were the guy who probably pitched the 7th, 8th, and 9th, and it's become so specialized now. Has that devalued relief pitching a little bit?
I don't think so. The game's changed, and when I was a relief pitcher, we only carried like 9 pitchers on the team, so we had 4 starters and maybe 5 guys in the bullpen if you were lucky. And nowadays they're carrying 7, 8, 9 pitchers in the bullpen. It's a little different game, but it's become more specialized. Your closers nowadays only have to really throw 1 inning. In my day, I was a long man, setup guy, and the closer. So it's a little different now. But I think the game's changed, and I think it's a good part of it.
What was the secret to your consistent success?
Probably getting out on the mound and pitching a lot. I had a lot of innings. I'd pitch 125, 30, 135 innings, and when you pitch that much, you stay sharp. And I don't know if I could do it the way they do it today. I needed a lot of work to stay sharp.
And that's the next question, because it seems like, for lack of a better word, pitchers are too pampered now, and you have all these arm injuries. Is it a matter, is it a chicken and egg thing, Rollie?
I've seen guys getting a lot. I mean, I was with the Oakland A's for like 8 years, and I don't remember anybody being on the disabled list. You strengthen your arm by throwing, and I think a lot of guys get on weights, and I don't think that's a good thing. When you get on weights, you're bulking up, and then when you extend your arm, that's when things start popping. So I'm not a big advocate of a lot of weights.
This is something that you're giving them a little bit of advice right now. Mo said that you talked to some of the relief pitchers for the Tin Caps. What advice did you give them?
Not a whole lot of advice. We just came in here and I met everybody, and they all wanted to take a picture and sign a baseball for them, and didn't really give them any pitching tips. I mean, they know what they're doing out there. And
they're pitching extremely well, especially the bullpen. What does it take to have that sort of success?
Probably experience. I think all these kids are pretty young, and so just the fact that they're in organized ball and they're going out there and they're pitching against some pretty good players, and their success is going to be determined over the next 2 or 3 years as how good they're going to be. And if they work hard at it, you never know, they get a shot at the big leagues.
Especially for the younger players, what is that big key that you want to be working on in those first 2 years?
Probably your mechanics and your control. You need 3 things to pitch in the big leagues. You need control, and you need control. And if you got all 3 of those things, then you're going to be a great pitcher. So work on your mechanics and your control, know where you're throwing the ball, and you'll be fine.
Probably just one of 5 Hall of Famers. It's a relief pitcher. And it seems like that's kind of underappreciated. There are some other guys who had great careers as a closer that probably should be in Cooperstown.
There's a lot of guys, that have gotten over 300 saves. Lee Smith's one of them. Jeff Reardon is one of them. And you got guys that are still waiting in the wings. Trevor Hoffman, Mariano Rivera. So I'm sure that in the future there's going to be a lot more closers that are going to get into the Hall.
Who do you think is next, and who gets your vote as being a Hall of Famer?
Oh, I'm sure that Mariano Rivera is going to be on the list real quick, and I'm sure he's going to go in as the first ballot. And I think Trevor Hoffman also. Both these guys got over 600 saves. That's a lot of saves.
Rollie, in 1981, you had a chance to pull off the rare double of winning the Cy Young and the MVP. Do you think pitchers should get more consideration for MVP than
well, if they have great years, that year I couldn't do anything wrong. I just threw my glove out there and got guys out. It was a fairyland out there for me, and I had the right team too. I had some great players behind me with the Milwaukee Brewers that year. We had a great infield, and I could make a mistake here and there, and these guys would score some runs. So it was just one of those years that nothing went wrong. And if you get that kind of a year, I think relief pitchers can be voted most valuable player.
And other than just that memorable '81 season, you won 3 straight World Championships. Describe what it really takes for a team to do that, and which team in the major leagues do you see being the next team to do a three-peat?
I don't know if anybody's going to win three in a row again. That's a hard thing to do. Back then, this was before free agency, and we had the same players on our team for 8-9 years, and we all played together. And nowadays with free agency, guys hang around for 2-3 years and they jump to another ball club. So it's tough to keep that ability, that fitness and to be consistent over those number of years, unless you keep with the same guys. And I think that was one thing that we had in Oakland, was we were playing with the same guys.
Looking ahead to next month, what do you have to say about this year's Hall of Fame class?
Oh, golly. We got Pedro Martinez, definitely deserving, Randy Johnson, John Schmaltz, and Greg Biggio, 3,000 hits. They're all deserving. It's going to be a fun weekend. I'm going to be there.
One of the hot topics right now is pace of play. Do you see that as being an issue that can be corrected fairly easily, or is it too
well,
much to tinker with?
I don't know how they're going to improve the pace of play. You know, right now you look at a box score, you see a lot of pitching changes, and you know, when you do pitching changes, it's going to take an extra 2, 3, 4 minutes. And when you're making 7, 8 pitching changes on a team in a game, even on one side, it's going to take a while. So I think that's the biggest thing is the pitching changes. But you know, you got to do it now because that's the way games played.
What do you think about the pitch clock, like a certain amount of?
Well, you know, you got 30 seconds. I got the ball, I threw it. I was a quick pitcher. You know, I get it back from the catcher. I knew what I was going to throw. I threw the thing. You know, I had it out of my hands probably in 8 to 10 seconds. You know, I didn't wait around too long. And you know, if you wait around too long, defenses, you know, they start getting lazy behind you. So you want to keep them, you know, alert back there. So that's why I threw it quick.
Lastly, just which young pitchers do you enjoy watching in the modern game?
Oh, Kershaw probably, definitely. I think he's a great pitcher. I don't watch a whole lot of baseball, but you know, there's a lot of them out there now that got some great stuff. But you know, every once in a while I'll watch a game that's on TV. Not a whole lot.
Sorry, one last question. We got to talk stash. It's really coming back. It's like the trend to have the mustache now. How do you feel about being the big trendsetter with this?
Well, I don't know if I'm the big trendsetter. You know, it was back in the 70s when we first started growing them. But you know, I've noticed lately there's a lot of more handlebar mustaches, and then they have this November thing, I guess, with mustaches now. And I never really paid that much attention to it. But I see, you know, I came into the clubhouse here, and a lot of the guys have got mustaches. Back when I played, you know, you weren't allowed to have that in the minor leagues. But a lot of these guys are growing them now, so mustaches are catching on.
And just why haven't you shaved it after all these years?
I think I'm afraid of what I'd look like without it. You know, I get up in the morning and it's there, and I'm not going to shave it off. I came close one time. I lost both ends of a doubleheader in Baltimore one day. I had the razor right there, and I said, no, better not. So I've had it since I grew it and haven't had it off.
Key to the upkeep.
I can do it in my sleep. Well, it takes me about 10 seconds. If it took any longer than that, I'd probably cut it off, but it's real easy for me.